good to have you guys on board. My name is Dr. Ikenna. I am the host of the Street Doctors Show, and we are promoting health information and sharing appropriate, valid guidelines with respect to public sensitization regarding health. So it is a stem of Get Better Mobile Clinic, and we are here to actually do more of health sensitization about public health burdens in Nigeria with respect to the growing doctor to patient ratio and the nosediving nomenclature in the health system, the gap that is really and widening. We intend to actually come in and stand in the gap by giving our audience a healthcare information in view of universal health coverage, health promotion, and preventive medicine. So come on board and keep tuning on to Street Doctor Show. Today we will be handling diet and cancer. As a matter of fact, there's an epidemic of cancer. Of course, we Africans used to believe that it is more predominant in the Western nations, but with advent of development, commercialization, and increased intake of processed food, we here in Africa that originally believed in organic and original natural food and dietary sources are now becoming exposed to a lot of factors that can be able to tip one into cancer. However, this particular conversation is going to be around diet, what we take in, and cancer. We're going to look at it from different perspectives. With respect to diet, we have a well-seasoned dietitian in the house, and we have dietitian Sandra in the house, who is going to do a complete synopsis of the relationship between diet and cancer.
So 4th of February was World Cancer Day, a day set aside by the WHO with the international community to inform and educate the public on cancer, the prevention, management, just basically to keep people in the know about what cancer is all about, right? So the theme is close the care gap. So we are supposed to mobilize all the information and resources available to address the global burden of cancer, which is on the increase right now. So that's why we're doing this. So I'm coming from the dietitian's perspective to throw more light on diet as it relates to cancer and how diet can help to prevent and manage cancer. First of all, there is no particular food that is anti-cancer, right? So you can't, some school of thought have it that, oh, when you take a certain food, this kind of food, they mention a certain food, maybe soursop for instance, oh, it contains a lot of antioxidants and all that, and it can prevent cancer. But that's not the case. There's no single food that can do that. So in the case of cancer and diet, it has to do with your overall dietary intake, right? So there are certain foods that can be cut down that can actually help to prevent it, and these include the alcohol, for instance. So whatever we put into our mouth actually affects our health. So the alcohol should be cut down because when it gets into our body, it produces acetaldehyde, and this can actually predispose one to cancer. Then also cutting down on the processed foods, because most of the time some preservatives are used in in curing the food, for instance processed meat for instance. So the nitrates and nitrites used in preserving the food to make it stay for longer can actually result in nitrosamines in the body that can actually predispose one to cancer. So also it's important to exercise as well. So increased exercise can help to prevent these cancers, and generally it's important to have a healthy, balanced diet, right? So if you're trying to prevent cancer, it's just like you trying to prevent other diet-related diseases. Just ensure that you have a healthy, balanced diet which is adequate, contained with vegetables, fruits, basically natural food products and less of the artificial and processed foods.
Okay, fine. Let us listen to her throw more light on the risk factors with respect to diet and cancer.
So in terms of risk factors, I can say that for the non-modifiable ones, genetics is one of it, right? So because in my professional experience, I have come across people who live the healthiest lives, right? And they consume healthy food, lifestyle and all that, but they still somehow come down with cancer. Yes, and that's because it is hereditary. It is hereditary. So that's one of the risk factors that is not modifiable. In any case, one should be on guard and do the necessary to prevent it. Another risk factor is obesity and overweight. So in recent times, due to the nutrition transition in socioeconomic factors, people have switched from the traditional diet into a westernized diet, where we take foods rich in sugars, fat, salt, and all of that can predispose one to being overweight or obese, especially without proper physical activity, right? So that is also a risk factor to cancer, because studies have shown that being overweight and obese increases the growth hormone, and these can predispose one to cancer. So another risk factor is diet. So when you indulge in unhealthy diets, right, it can predispose one to cancer. A healthy diet which includes ultra-processed foods, the processed foods, the sugary foods, high-calorie diet and all of that, it can actually predispose one to cancers. So it's important that we take note. And then another thing of concern is what actually goes on, especially in the marketplaces. These days when you go to the market and you're trying to eat healthy, innocently you get fruits and vegetables. All fruits and vegetables are good. You want to get fruits, and then you get fruits that are ripe and look good to eat. But you take it home and suddenly it's as if it was ripened with carbide. Today is not ripe and tomorrow you take it home and it's already ripened as fast as it can be. So all these things, carbide is actually carcinogenic, and when ingested over time can lead to cancer. So please, those of you in the marketplaces, do well to cut this down and prevent the spread of cancer, because it's of public health concern. All right. Then those who smoke foods, smoking of especially red meat and all that, the polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons get released, and these are not beneficial to the health of the public because of these emerging trends of cancers here and there. So we should do the needful. These are some of the risk factors associated with cancer. Right. Yeah.
Now, what are the myths that people have about diet and cancer?
So there's this myth that microwave foods can actually lead to cancer. So that is not exactly true, because when you use the right container to microwave the food, made of glass or metal, to microwave the food in the oven, it doesn't lead to cancer. However, when it's plastic, that is the container, right, because of the heat involved in this process, it can actually leach out some of the chemicals used in making this plastic into the food, right? So this bisphenol A can actually be leached, and it is carcinogenic. So that also applies to those who decide to put their hot food in nylon or boil food with nylon and all that. So that can be carcinogenic too, but not that it is microwave oven or the use of microwave oven that actually leads to cancer. Yeah. Another myth is that burnt food leads to cancer. That's not true. That is not. We are not supposed to make you have a bad relationship with food here, because I know that everybody, especially those in Nigeria, like our Nigerian jollof, and we want it burnt, to give us that flavor and taste. So burnt food does not cause cancer. Then another myth is I was so shocked that eggs cause cancer. How? Like, no, no, no. Eggs do not cause cancer, please. So that's the myth, and I dispute that fact, please. And another is that there are superfoods, in quote, particular foods that actually help to curb cancer or cures cancer. That's not true. There's no particular food. So in cancer, your food as a whole, right, that you take over time, your diet, actually has a lot more to do than an individual food that you take. So you can't just say you take this food, you keep taking this food. Then you do. The market people even have a way of increasing and inflating the price of this particular food because there's a saying that it helps in cancer. So something you could get at a cheaper rate, and now buying it very expensive. But that should not be the case. There's no superfood anywhere. Take a healthy diet, rich in fruits, vegetables, the fibers, your whole grains, your natural foods. Haven't you noticed that people of the old actually live longer because they eat more of the naturals? You know, as at then there was no westernization, and people don't actually know about all these foods available, the ultra processed foods available, but they were just taking the traditional foods, taking water and all of that, and they were living healthy. So that's just the case. There is no single superfood that prevents or cures cancer.
Okay, let us look at the dietary recommendations to those who are already suffering from cancer.
For the dietary recommendations for those who are already down with cancer, the goal is to ensure optimum nutrition for these individuals because, in this condition, they suffer a lot of psychological issues, and then weight loss, malnutrition comes in, they are prone to infections and all that. So in their dietary management, it's important to take this into consideration. So the intake of natural foods, wholesome foods, whole grains, whole foods are actually very important. So they should also reduce the intake of processed foods and meats. They should do more of white meat, do more fishes and all that, because they need, at this case I mentioned that they lose weight, so they need protein for their body mass, to build their lean body mass. So, and if at all they really want to take meat, if at all, it should be the leanest part of the meat, and it should not be all the time, right? It shouldn't indulge often. Then we should also notice, the healthcare professionals should also take into consideration the fact that they have poor appetite at this point, and also the caregivers around should also try to be patient with them at this point and not just force them to eat foods. Give small frequent nutrient dense meals, right? I remember my aunt had cancer, and when I used to prepare food and give her, initially I was angry, like, why is she wasting my time making me prepare food and then giving her she's not eating, but I wanted to be angry, but looking at it and everything she was going through, the pains and all of that, I noticed that it wasn't supposed to be. What she needed then was patience and all that. So we need to be patient with those suffering from cancer and encourage them more to eat foods gradually. Yes. And they should also take water a lot. We've already said cut down on your fizzy drinks, cut down on sugary drinks, alcohol intake, and all that. But sticking to the naturals, the water, natural one that God created, is actually going to be very beneficial at this point to help cleanse the toxins and all of that. You don't need to go and take some laxative or to detox tea or anything to cleanse anything. That can all as well lead to another form of colorectal cancer or something. But taking water will help cleanse your system naturally, and that is what we should be looking at. So diet, very balanced, rich in fruits, vegetables, because fruits and contains a lot of antioxidants that also help to counteract the free radicals in the body. And replacing your meat with plant foods. Like instead of taking meat, you can say, oh, let's take beans, for instance, or lentils, your legumes, and that way you can lead a healthy life even in cancer. It's not a death sentence. It can be managed, and managed effectively through diet and other multidisciplinary approaches. Yeah.
Now we're about to give you the take-home recommendations for dietary approach for cancer patients.
Okay, so for people who are down with cancer, their immune systems are at an all-time low, right? So it's very important that they take foods rich in vitamins and minerals. Mention fruits and vegetables. You can go on and on, a lot of fruits, right? And for the women, because women are prone to breast cancers and cervical cancer, that is on the increase right now. So it's important that they take fruits that can help to curb this, can really help to prevent or manage this. So fruits like cranberries are actually very good for females, in terms of the urinary tract infection and certain kinds of cancers. And then for the males, it's also important that they take tomatoes as well. So other vegetables such as cabbage, cucumber, those are actually very beneficial for those actually suffering from cancers as well. So what should I do? Okay, so in the spirit of Valentine's, this is an opportunity for us to go natural. Let's go natural with our gifts. Let's be creative. Let's do away with the whole chocolate thing, wine thing, Do something special for your man, right? Go for tomatoes. Go for pumpkin seeds. These things are good for reproductive health. So do that for your man. And for your woman, give her berries, cranberries, fruits. Those things are very beneficial for her. So in the spirit and season of Valentine, I'm wishing you happy Valentine's Day. Enjoy.
All right, guys, here we are with the diet and cancer. See you guys next time.